Hello, hello, hello and welcome. I'm Liam, music reviewer. Article 13 won't take me down. I'm not scared one bit. And today we're going to be talking about just a bunch of albums that I haven't had the chance to review properly, so I compile them into this monthly roundup. That's all you need to know. Also, I can't find my camera charger, so we're going to be using phone for recording. Now, it shouldn't be a problem, but just in case you guys are wondering why the setup's changed at all, it'll be temporary. I'll get it sorted out, but just so you guys know, let's get into it. Starting off with Joji, Ballads 1. It's not that good, is it? I apologise mostly to my pal Ethan from the podcast, because I know he likes it, and I didn't, so you're not allowed to like it anymore. That's just the rules. The song Attention might be one of the worst things I've heard all of this year, because the bass is just so ugly and not in some sort of like, there's some times where that could be a good thing, but it's genuinely just taints the song so much. It is such a bad opening track. If it's not one of the worst songs of the year, it's definitely one of the worst openers of the year. The only song that salvages this record in any sort of capacity is the song Slow Dance in the Dark. The MIDI keys and strings are really gorgeous. Joji's singing's actually not too bad either. But besides that, the other song that comes to mind is Test Drive, which just sounds like a knockoff Post Malone, it was kind of embarrassing if I'm being perfectly honest. Yeah, just not a very essential listen at all. I'm going to give it a very generous light 4 out of 10. Colourblind, Move Like You, an Australian punk rock outfit who are very much in the same vein as Someday like Basement. If you've ever listened to any sort of Midwestern emo influenced music or just Midwestern emo music, there's probably going to be a few things where you go, oh, I've heard this done before and better. This is their debut album, so I can kind of give them a pass a little bit, just because I do think they're going to end up doing brighter and better things. And there's examples of this on this very album with tracks like Weather Song, where the bass is just so chunky, and also just the build up at the end, where just it's this vocal like explosion, just so much rife angst going through it. I was a big fan of that, but I do think they are sort of like chained up by those influences that I think as time goes on they'll start to kind of break free from, and like I say, examples on this very record that show that they're capable of doing that. So I'll go for a solid 6 out of 10. Daughters, You Won't Get What You Want. Now, Daughters have been getting a lot of talk, especially because, well, Melon gave it a 10 out of 10. I feel that's worth bringing up because it doesn't happen all that often. In terms of what I think, because I'm obviously more important and people care more about what I have to say. Yeah, it's pretty good. Really fucking bleak. Puts the grim and grim adventures of Billy and Mandy. Oh, thank you. Cheers for coming. Cheers for coming. But honestly, some of the imagery on this, like the line that everybody brings up is that one that goes, "That bastard had a head like a matchstick, face like he was sucking concrete through a straw," which is beautiful. It's honestly like poetry, but in like a really like grim sense, like I don't know, like Edgar Allan Poe, because that's honestly the only poet I know. Like, see, I'm showing my intelligence here, aren't I? Vocally, I think that it's the only thing holding me back, and not because they're bad vocally, just that I think sometimes if they embraced it a bit more and really got into that mood, I think I would be all in. I think I'd be so much more invested than I already am. I think a lot of the time, especially on the Lord song, I feel like they definitely are getting into it. There's some sort of like, I'd say, 9 Inch Nails influence on some of the songs as well, which even though I've not hugely dived into their discography, the songs that I've heard have really clicked with me, and I think there's definitely some sort of Trent Reznor-esque influence going on here. But yeah, all in all, definitely worth all the hype it's getting. So if for some reason you haven't already listened to it, go and do that, I guess. Strong 8 out of 10. Pure White, Abuse. Up front, electronic music isn't my forte, so if I just speak a lot of rubbish, just excuse me. Pure White is part of the Bloom Punch label, and they have released 8 albums. I think it's 8 albums anyway, but they've released either 8 albums, EPs, whatnot, over the past 2 years, so very, very hectic work schedule there. This release in particular I thought was quite nice. I think it definitely tries to create this mood that's definitely very impenetrable and very thick, and just super immersive, and I think it manages to keep it going for a good chunk of this album. Sometimes it just feel a bit too one note for my taste. The song Shadow is one where I kind of think that it avoids that entirely. It feels like there's like a creepy spectre or ghost or something just like floating about the soundscape. You don't know when it's going to pop up. You don't know if you really start to doubt yourself, and it just makes this really really nice atmosphere. If the whole album was kind of like I don't know, full of more songs like that, if they were kind of like sprinkled about a bit more, that's what I was trying to say. If it was sprinkled about a bit more, I think I would be far more into it than I am at the moment. But I think I'm satisfied enough to give it a recommendation if you are a fan of electronic music. A light 7 out of 10. Kurt Vile, Bottle It In. I actually reviewed this with David Rowe, Canada's prodigal son, over on his channel. So if you want to know what I made of it, you can just go ask him and go watch his video. Petite, Noir, The Black House. Honestly, a bit disappointed in this release, if I'm being honest. Disappointed it's not getting talked about enough. What a twist. They create, I would call it like South African influenced art pop, which was enough to reel me in just from that description alone. And they just do so much and keep you just like under their spell entirely. They're supporting young fathers on their tour, which is why I originally listened to it, because I want to I'll always do like to listen to the support acts of whatever band I happen to be seeing live, find a new favourite, and I'm definitely glad that I gave this one a go. Yannick, who's the man behind this project, vocally he is just totally in charge all the time, just demands your attention and commands it as well. Manages to be a bit sort of more playful, even more energetic. Usually it's quite like a very deep voice that's going along at quite a steady pace, but sometimes he's definitely a bit more urgent, especially on the song Respect. Just so many good songs on here. Blame Fire is a really politically charged one that opens up this EP, and then there's a Beach with Danny Brown, who offers a guest verse, which was pretty cool. So yeah, just this EP, there's so much to like love about it, but it's very difficult to word it just how well they go about doing it. It just feels like a very authentic, natural album in terms of just how it comes about creating this entertainment. So yeah, I would further recommend this to pretty much everyone that's watching this just now, because I don't think there's any sort of restrictions or barriers that are going to stop you from really enjoying it. A strong 8 out of 10. Metro Boomin, Not All Heroes Wear Capes. If it weren't for 21 Savage on that song, Don't Come Out the House, where he's talking like this, he's up too late, he's got school tomorrow. Like, if it weren't for that, I genuinely probably wouldn't remember anything about this. I don't think anyone's really offering memorable bars. I don't think Metro himself is offering much creativity. Anything really sticks out to me all that well. I can't even go, oh, it's quite a vibey thing, like it's something that I could kind of like, it's like a lo-fi hip-hop compilation where it's like, oh, you can just put that in the background, you can like groove out to it a little bit. There's not even that excuse for me. It's just a very vapid album, I would say. Really, all I can say, I'm really struggling to formulate like a really like strong opinion of like all the pros and all the cons, because it just doesn't really do much for me to care. It just doesn't. A decent 4 out of 10. Reidy and Here With You I Am. I was aware of this just because how nearly every reviewer in our little community has talked about it so far. So I was kind of like, you know what, I need to give it a go. I haven't talked to Reidy before, so there's no sort of a like connection there that would stop me like being like overly negative or anything like that. But I genuinely don't think that it's that flawed. The only kind of problem I have is sometimes the singing is a bit too rough. But even then it kind of 180s and it becomes like there's that sincerity that gets really like amped up because how all the edges are like unbuffed in that, which is a nice touch. But that I do think that like if you were to get into it, production wise, there definitely could be some improvements with the mastering and the production and all that. But I think for what it is as more of a sort of like amateurish project, and that it does really really well. Lost Kite Theory, oh my god, such a gorgeous song. How the kind of like the boomboxing gets mixed in with really just a beat that I would imagine that Young Lean would have worked with during the early days of his career. Honestly, it was such a mesmerising listen. And then also the song Mangled, which reminded me a lot of Little Peep due to the fact it's hip hop production, some really somber guitars, and the angsty delivery over the top of it just all worked super well. It's a great closer, and just a general like kind of I guess motive behind this release with how it's trying to be quite thought-provoking, existential as well. I don't think it ever gets pompous or condescending at all. It manages to avoid quite a lot of the potholes that people like J. Cole seem to always fall in time and time again. So yeah, Reidy, man, done a really good job. I can't wait to see what you do next. And I would recommend this guy to all of you, because I think he's doing a good job, and I'll definitely want to try and keep an eye on. In terms of score, I'm going to go for a strong 7 out of 10. Young, lean, buzzing, Ivy. Young, lean is somebody that I've been quite fond of. I feel like a lot of people were negative on him, and granted, his flow and his delivery is quite lethargic. Sometimes his production might be a bit samey, but I've always thought that in terms of like SoundCloud rap, he's just been like a pioneer. I think that's like undeniable. With this album, Poison Ivy, I think he kind of falls off a little bit. The production though is quite good at points, especially of the song French Hotel, which has like a Crystal Castles vibe to it. And if the whole album went with that sort of vibe, I feel like it would be so much better. But unfortunately, there's not a real sense of cohesiveness going on here. Lyrically, it's a mess. It's really janky. Not that Young Lean's ever been kind of like well known or praised for his lyrics, but like early on though, like songs like Heart and that like had like some sort of like genuineness to them, whereas I think that with this song, especially the first song, Happy Feet, there's that line, I go too far like Jim Carrey, and it's just, so he said that and he didn't think twice about it. But that song has a nice bit of production as well, and it's got this like bubbling momentum just underneath it, and it's just really driving it. I thought it was like a really nice touch. So yeah, that's really all I can say about it. I wish he was going more in the Warlord direction, that route that he was kind of going through. I just want some like industrial sad boy music that's like really pushing itself and is just super fucking messy. In terms of a score, I'm gonna go for a light 5 out of 10. Seiko Oomori, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Her album Party. I'm going to assume that nobody watching this knows who Seiko Oomori is. Maybe one or two of you do, but I'm going to just talk to you as if you don't. She's a J-pop rock star, and I cannot stress enough just how bloody entertaining she is. There's so much passion and fun just dripping from her work, and honestly, like the albums that I've listened to her so far just have me smiling all the time. I would love to see her perform live. I feel like she would just offer such a great show. Party as an album might be a bit too cheesy, and maybe get a bit too samey at some points as well, but I cannot deny just how much fun I have with it, how it really got me, especially the first song, which, if my translation was right, is Grim Reaper. It would match up with the fact that of the album cover, and that is just, it starts off quite delicate, I would say. This cutesy percussion, the majestic keys, and then it just ramps up so much. It basically manages to like capture the magnitude of like 20 boss battles and distills it into a song. Seiko's her delivery and her vocals, she's just got this ferocity and force, like she's like, I don't know, like a lion, like injected with like this, all these steroids, like just like a super evolution of like a Pokemon or something like that. It's honestly baffling how she manages to keep that up, that eagerness, just that energy. I do not know how she manages it, and every time I listen to the first song, Grim Reaper, I get genuine chills every time. I always think to myself, like, I know what's coming, but it genuinely just makes me feel so happy. It gets me really emotional as well. And just, there's a lot of songs on this album where it's just, there's definitely this sort of like carefreeness, this like youthfulness to it that makes it just sound super animated. Again, it can be a bit sort of cheesy at points, but honestly, I had so much fun with it that it didn't really ruin it for me. I don't think it's going to be for everybody, but give it a shot. If the first song catches you, then I would give the rest of it a go. I'm going to give it a light 8 out of 10. Selling, on reflection, thank you to Mr. Buffalo Fluffalo Staple Maple for putting this on the radar for me. I keep saying on the radar, but literally it's the only thing that's coming to mind just now, because I'm trying to make these a bit more freeform. But he was talking about this in one of his recent videos, and I thought to myself, I'll give it a go. He sounded sort of positive on it. Again, electronic music isn't like something I'm super knowledgeable about, but I can definitely appreciate it just because it's got a sense of liveliness about it, but in a way that, like, you think of liveliness and you think, like, if it's an album described as such, would have like some sort of set piece or breakdown or anything of the sorts in terms of electronic music, but it seems to be that there's just like this really a real warmth just radiating from all the songs here, which is you would expect, just because the two members that make up this duo have years and years of experience behind them. Like, you would come to expect it, but I do think that on a technical level it is something to be admired, I would say. I do think that there's not much variation going on, which kind of like ruined the experience for me, but I do think this is something that could kind of grow on me, maybe listening to it in a different environment, and that would maybe kind of like amplify my enjoyment of it so far. But as it stands, I like 7 out of 10. Robyn, Honey, I really wasn't expecting Robyn to drop an album in any year really where she would be getting such discussion about her, and really just because when I think of her, I think of like Dancing on My Own, Every Heartbeat, songs that like I heard tons and tons when I was growing up. So it's kind of weird knowing that she still is relevant for a lot of people. And on this album, I don't think she manages to kind of like defy my expectation of her just being mainly someone that has a few good singles but can't really like deliver a front to back good album. Though that being said, I think I did get a lot of fun, a lot of quality music out of this release. I say a lot. I think there's a good few tracks, especially the first two. I think the production on that, she mainly tinkers with like dance and like synth pop and that, which have definitely been given. It's definitely had like a spike in popularity as of late. But I think there's just a sense of just sensualness and passion that Robyn just works with really naturally. I'm definitely thinking of something like Human Being, where, well, lyrically it is a bit sort of just kind of by the numbers, I guess would be the right term. I think just how the production, the backdrop just feels a bit more restricted. It didn't feel too rich, and it's definitely not minimal, but it just feels like everything's just working in this kind of like sweet harmony. It's just it's lovely. It's really, really lovely. Like I said, she hasn't been able to keep my enjoyment from front to back, but I definitely like this a lot more than I was expecting to. I wasn't expecting to kind of get any sort of like merit out of this, but I did, and I would be giving this a solid 6 out of 10. Onry, Ozzborn, Nervous Hand. Thank you to Mr. Not Real Ben Wyatt for reviewing this, because again, it would have just slipped under for me, and I'm really glad that I just kind of pounced on it and gave it a go, because this is some of the best hip hop I've heard all year. It's very Aesop Rock influenced, but I don't think that's to its detriment. It's very much in the same way that Earl Sweatshirt is very MF Doom influenced, but it never really, like, all four rappers kind of stand out in their own ways. There's a song Belfort, that's what it was called, which honestly, when it finished for the first time, I had to like turn off the Spotify app because it's heavy. It's heavy. Onry just has such a way with words, and it's just the kind of like how he describes things in that, even the most like minuscule of things, even the most like talked about things, like when it comes to like your like family expectations in that song, like honestly kind of just like kind of hurt a bit hearing it. And then there's something like Bummer, which is a bit more sonically upbeat, but I think even though it's kind of different to Belfort lyrically at least, I think that what I'm trying to say is that he never seems to compromise himself, like production wise. It's pretty lovely. I think it's just pretty well developed. It doesn't feel like there's any sort of like low moment in it where you're kind of thinking, oh, this is just a bit too thin for me, there's much for me to like kind of grab onto here. And in terms of just like his bars and that, like he's just such a compelling rapper. It's so much fun to just kind of like listen to everything he's saying, because I feel like I could listen to this another 10 times and I just would miss out on something. So yeah, if you're looking for just a really well worded, intriguing hip hop record, please give this a go, because I think it's gonna be I've got very high hopes for it in terms of it appearing on my album of the year list, so you'll want to get kind of ahead of the curve there. And in terms of a score, I'm gonna go for a solid 8, but that is it's subject to change. I feel like I'm gonna get more positive on it with every new listen of it. Hatchie, Sugar and Spice, my last thanks of the day is gonna go to Mr. Rick the Bay, because he reviewed this, and I just knew just from his description of it alone, and just from the little sample of it in the background, I was like, I need to get into this. And you know what, like, you know how you listen to something and you like it, and this album, I'm sure a lot of critics probably will agree with me here, that sometimes you just hear something and you like it, and as much as you want to like try and like analyse what is the reason for you liking it, you just kind of like, you kind of just like go along with it. It's like you're like going down a stream on like a what do you call them, like the wee flims or the kind of plastic chairs that you lie on, or that. It feels like that, and you're just kind of just floating about. You're just like, I'm just at peace just now, and that is what this EP feels like to me. The opening track, Sure, is like as fuzzy as a Lombax, and just vocally, it's very much got the same sort of lushness and magic, the same magic as something like Elizabeth Fraser managed to deliver. Just a really good kind of cut of dream pop. There is also the discussion to be had about like how much this is influenced. Does it manage to actually offer all that much now? I think it does, but I think for some people they might think it is a bit too dream poppy, like it's maybe a bit too sort of prototypical is what I'm trying to say. But for me, just that warm feeling, just that comfort, I just feel totally at ease. And I just think it's utterly gorgeous. Like every song, just there's something new about it every time I listen to it, where I'm kind of like, oh, I didn't even notice that. Especially the guitars on this, just like I say, they're very fuzzy, they blossom, they're just lovely, just really, really lovely. Surely will go down as one of the better EPs of the year, which is why I'm gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10. Again, subject to change. So don't you miss it? Don't you miss it? Some of you people, you done about missed it. Now we're gonna talk about Papi, Am I a Girl? Which I really wasn't expecting to like at all. Which mainly comes down to the fact that Poppy is a character that is meant to be lifeless, soulless, basically like a robot. Which means that if she was ever going to try and attempt any sort of music, it would be, in essence, like trying to like Photoshop clothes onto Chibi Robo. It just would just feel so inauthentic and just sort of artificial. And not to say that artificial music is inherently bad. It's just that when she's trying to mainly do pop stuff, it's like, okay, this feels so manufactured and not in like a smart satirical way. I just never felt like that happened on was it Poppy Computer or something like that? Whatever one came out last year, I really didn't care about it enough to like really remember. But with this one, I there were some songs in here that I actually did like a lot, and I think they're probably gonna go down as some people's least favourites of the year. I'm thinking of something like Play Destroy, which is like an alt rock metal song that has Graham's on board for it. It's ill-fitting, it's a total curveball, and I love it. It's so entertaining. I really shouldn't like it. I know that I really shouldn't like it. In terms of just, I know that just if somebody was to put this on, like to write it on paper, I would be like, that sounds horrible. But like actually listen to it, I'm just like, oh fuck, this is good. X, the song afterwards and the closer of the album, also tries to go for it, and it throws in this like really jarring Beatles-esque power pop bit. And yeah, it also works for me. I kind of dig it. I just think if the whole album was going for this, where it kind of like, it's so absurd, and just so just ballsy. Just I feel like if it did the whole thing, I say ballsy, it's not like super experimental or inventive, but it's just like, it shouldn't fit, and I just kind of like appreciate it for that sole fact. The rest of this album though feels like an Art Angel's like pale imitation, and Claire Boucher is actually credited as a producer, and I don't know if it's for like the whole album or just a song that she appeared on, which will be interesting to try and find out. But I think those two songs give me enough sort of justification to give this a light 5 out of 10. And lastly, we're going to talk about Adrianne Lenker, Abysskiss. Adrianne's from Big Thief, that you might have heard of before, and yeah, this is a fucking phenomenal folk album, one of the strongest ones of the year, unquestionably for me. It's kind of minimal, it's mainly guitar led, like acoustic guitar led. Sometimes got some piano on board. I think there's one song that has an electric guitar on it, but for the most part it's solely driven by the fact of Adrianne's like plucking technique and her delivery, and it just sent me into a trance on just so many occasions. This is another bleak record, but I think that mainly just comes from the fact that there's just like this really like heartbreaking authenticity when it comes to the song Terminal Paradise. Just the chorus on there just has so much power, just due to the fact that Adrianne just gives so much importance to the word terminal. Just her quivering while projecting it just cements it. Just how like fragile she is in that moment, which is such a small touch, but it just goes song. It goes such a long way to just like really sort of like establish just the emotion that it's trying to evoke, and successfully does in my opinion. The standout song here though that I need to talk about, because it's been on my mind all day, because I went back to this record to listen to it again just to cement my opinion on it. Blue and Red Horses. Oh my god, this song broke me so much. especially the excerpt, which I'm just going to read out. Little red flowers on your wrist, maybe the angel fired and missed. Oh, I'm kind of I'm kind of welled up a little bit thinking about it, because at least in terms of my interpretation, I read it as somebody that's either just like been through some sort of like trauma for their lives, maybe some sort of like, it sounds like self-harm to me, but even if it's not, even if it's just sort of like harm caused to them, and just the how it's described is just so depressing. I just, it was only today that it probably like clicked with me and just made me feel just so empty. Just, oh my god, one of the most beautiful things I've heard all year, and it's just, and the fact that like it's not even that dense a song, it's just kind of like very simple guitar, just it's just so good, so good. I'm gonna stop rambling now, but yeah, just not seeing a great deal of discussion about this album, and I think that should change, because I think that people and myself will definitely be into this. In terms of a score, I'm thinking a strong 8 out of 10. This is just going to fuck up my album of the year list greatly, but disappear the rating now, because that's us. End of the video. So thank you guys for watching. Don't know how long this has went on, so I don't know if I should apologise for it being too long or apologise for it being too short. But thank you for watching. Stay safe and stay hype. Oh, I don't feel that good. Oh, I don't feel so good.